Hello everyone, this is History with Hilbert here, and today I'm actually, as you can see, out in the beautiful wilderness of Northumberland, my home county, and I'm in the Cheviot hills right now, and this thing before me that you can see, the stone construction, is actually a Bronze Age burial cairn. So back in the Bronze Age, we're talking about 4,000 years ago, around 2000 or 3000 BC is the date that archaeologists have placed this cairn at. And this would have been probably a mound, so we can see now the inside where they would have placed these stones, and then I think they would have put earth over the top of this so that you have this nice mound shape. But obviously now the earth is gone, they've excavated it, and this is what the inside would have looked like. Now this is an absolutely beautiful location, and as you can see it's covered in heather everywhere where you look. And right the way down, we're very high up at the moment in the Cheviot hills, and if I zoom in you can see just how far you can see into the distance. These are the Cheviot hills, which you can see there as well in the distance, and it's a very nice place. I very much enjoy coming here. It's very beautiful and it's very empty, which is why I really like it. And one of the things that this burial cairn here at Bloweary makes me think of is in Skyrim. Now I'm not sure if you're familiar with the game, but if you are going from, say, Whiterun on the way to Markarth, you come across this heathland as well when you're going high up, not yet into the mountains where the Forlorn are, but the Forsworn even, but when you come across this heathland, and there are lots of these Neolithic looking style burial places or these monuments that you come across there in Skyrim as well. Now you have the guy with the painted cow that he's going to go and feed to. I think it's a giant, yes. But it reminds me of this a little bit, and I wonder if some of the inspiration would have come from here. It's absolutely great, this, and I really enjoy it. So if I go forward a little bit, I'll have a look, because you can obviously see that there is a circle here, and many of these sites were circular like this. And then this central area here, I imagine, if there were bodies found, now I'm not sure if there were, that they would have been placed in here with some grave goods of some sort. And as well, I imagine that perhaps this would have been the entrance, this place here, and then you would have come in here. You would have obviously had around here, I think this would have been a mound of some sort, and going around in a circle, and you can see sort of some of the bigger stones over there. There are a few larger ones here, and then filled in with these smaller ones. So I wonder what the attraction would have been for these Bronze Age peoples up here, because as you can see, the Cheviot's very empty and very high up, and it's all heathland. There's lots of heath. There's not an obvious attraction. So I wonder why they would have chosen up here for their burial cairn, for their burial site, even though it is very hauntingly beautiful up here, if I do say so myself. So I'm afraid this video hasn't been too informative, and it's rather just been me talking a little bit about this cairn, because we don't really know too much about these cairns. These were built a very long time ago, and they didn't leave much at all by way of writing. So what we're left with is really these stones that have been found. Now, I think likely if they dug up around here, they'd find a few more of these. These are very rarely you find them on their own. They're normally in groups. So I think if we started looking around here, we could find a few more of them. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this quick little video on this Bronze Age burial cairn in the Cheviot Hills. Thanks very much for watching. Welcome back everyone, this is History with Hilbert, and I'm back in the Cheviots today. And what you see before me isn't just a random boulder that I found out in the beautiful countryside of the Cheviots in the county of Northumberland in the northeast of England. No, in fact this is a prehistoric cup and ring stone, and as the more perceptive of you who aren't wearing spectacles can tell, these are actually man-made marks, and these marks are called the cup marks. Now if we investigate a little closer, we can see that these cup marks have been put in at almost regular intervals here, if we can see, and these are the cup marks. They're called cup marks because they are the marks that were, it looks like they've been made by just, getting a cup and squashing it into the rock. And now if we look around, there's not only cup marks on this stone, we've got great light because it's just going into the afternoon now in the early spring, and on top of this rock we can actually see some more prehistoric marks, and these are the ring marks. And as you can see in this light, you can see them very well. They're quite hard to see otherwise, but you can clearly see these sort of spirals that are very prominent in this pre-Celtic, prehistoric art form. Now you can see all over this rock here, we have these spirals. So there's one there, they're absolutely covered in it. And we don't actually know what these mean, what they symbolize. Now, I've seen something similar in Ireland, in a place called the Brunner Vine, which means bend in the Boyne. And it's actually quite close to Dublin, and it's this valley in between the River Boyne, which is absolutely filled with these prehistoric sites. So you've got, for example, Newgrange is a very famous one, as well as Knowth and Dowth. And one of the theories there for what these marks meant, which are found on a lot of these places, I'll put some pictures up of them so that you can see what I'm talking about. One of the theories there is that they represent some sort of map. But whether this is a map of the physical world, whether these spirals are, representative of monuments or of settlements or of a supernatural world, of the different worlds that they believe exist, of where perhaps these ancient gods would have dwelt, or where they thought they would have dwelt, or whether it's a combination of the two, we just don't know, and unfortunately we can't ask them. And we don't really have any other sort of writing from this period, because this is, I'm guessing this is about 2,000 years before Christ, maybe a bit older even. So we're just not sure. Now actually I made a video recently, and I made it just about over there. And that is in fact a Bronze Age burial cairn from around the same period. So I've just walked, if I zoom back out again, all the way over, and you can see to this cup and ring marked rock. And actually, if we go and we look up there, you can just make out an Iron Age hill fort, which I will be also making a video about. So this area is absolutely, you've literally got 3 old ancient sites very close to each other. So if we were to study this, and we could say, well, this ring here represents the burial cairn, this ring here represents this rock, and then this represents this hill fort. But unfortunately archaeologists and scholars haven't really got much closer to understanding what these marks mean. Now cup and ring marks are found throughout Atlantic Europe, so you've got them in England, mostly in the north actually. I believe it's something like 1,300 of them are out of 8,000 are found in Northumberland, which is this county. And this area, the Cheviot, is absolutely littered with these cup and ring marked rocks. You also find them in Brittany, in the north of France, and in Wales as well, I believe, as well as some other places. You find them spread out. I think there's a few in Scandinavia, a few even in the Middle East. So it's a very old idea, and we're not really too sure about it, but I find it very interesting. And I think in this light, in this late afternoon light, we can really see them very well, which you normally can't see because obviously these marks are very, very old. So a lot of it will appear to have weathered away, making it harder to see. One word to look up from admiring this rather vague and overgrown, lichen-riddled, cup-marked stone, they surely would not miss the fact that they are staring at an Iron Age hill fort up in the mountains of Cheviot in Northumberland. Hello everyone, this is History with Hilbert, and today I'm going to be exploring another Iron Age hill fort. When you approach this hill fort, first of all you notice how very high up this is, being as it is in the Cheviot Hills. And you also notice these are pretty huge ramparts, and these would be very much an issue for anyone trying to get into this hill fort. Now unfortunately, inside the hill fort, not much remains of obviously what there would have been, because these were made out of we're not actually sure if these ramparts here would have been actual ramparts with some sort of palisade or wall on top of them, or if this would be some sort of a ditch. Because if we look here, we're not really sure. There is a stone here which might indicate that there was some sort of gatehouse style fortification. But if we look through here, there's clearly a gap between these two. So it's possible that this first one was an outer palisade of defense, and the second one would have been the inner one, or that the second one was a ditch that then the any attackers would have to get up over, and then they'd have to go down again and then up to attack the palisade, where obviously there would be defenders waiting for them with things like javelins, slings, bows and arrows, rocks, and all sorts of other goodies that they wouldn't want to encounter. So if we move inside the actual hill fort, as I said, there's not much left because they would have made things out of perishable materials. But here again we do see these rocks. So this would suggest that there was some sort of fortification here. And this is definitely the way into the hill fort. It's hard to see through the heather and the reeds, but this is where the path would have come. So there would have been some sort of gate here, so that they, obviously the guys they wanted to come into the hill fort could, and those they did not, could not. Now if we look over there, there are a few people doing some sort of parachuting or something, which is, because it's very high up here, so it's quite a good place to do it. And actually the British Army, I think in the Second World War, would have thought that this was a great place to build a defensive structure as well, because actually if I just walk up here, you can see that there is in fact a sort of World War II era bunker which has been built here. And if I make the final climb, and you can see, whoa, right into the distance, and it is very high up again. So from up here, you know, you can't really see that much. You can see sort of where the ramparts would have gone around the outside, but often the best part of hill forts is indeed the gate. That you can see sort of the stones in the gatehouse, the ramparts that are best preserved. Because here obviously you've got this whole hillside, so you don't really need to build anything much here, because no army is going to have any real chance of all climbing up here and then trying to take over this hill fort. And another thing about this hill fort is that we're not sure if it would have been a permanent hill fort or a temporary hill fort, because plenty of hill forts were just temporary things. If there was danger in the area, people would herd all their cattle up the hill, push them through the gates, and hey presto, lock the gate, the enemy wouldn't come near them, unless of course they are attacked by an airborne attack, which is unlikely for the prehistoric, the Celtic era. But we're not sure if they would have been here all the time, if they would have been inhabiting this hill fort 24/7. We're not really sure. And you can see there the parachuter guy coming over the top. But they might have done. They might have been here all the time. It might have been a permanent place, or it could have been a temporary one. That's the thing with hill forts. We're not entirely sure.
But the history of this place doesn't stop here. Old Buick is also home to one of the most enchanting little country churches of the county of Northumbria, Holy Trinity. It's a quiet and forlorn church standing all alone in the middle of the countryside. It used to be surrounded by a village, but that's long gone. The church dates back to Saxon times, but most of what we see now is Norman, and this lady clearly is of a later medieval time even. We can see the beautiful rounded apsis behind that Norman apsis arch, and the little church lying in this populated but now very quiet churchyard. We can see the typical dog-tooth motif, which directly give away that this is a Norman church mainly. A very special place.
Alright everyone, thanks very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this little video on some Bronze and Iron Age sites in the Cheviot Hills in Northumberland, as well as the little bit at the end there about the church, which was narrated by Rinka. Now, I know a lot of people said they wanted to see some more prehistoric content on the channel, which I have been working towards, and I actually recorded a lot of this, I think in February. It's just taken me a while to actually get around to editing it and now uploading it. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I will be making some more prehistoric content very soon for you to enjoy. So this has been History with Hilbert. Thanks very much for watching.